My name is Githaiga. I currently work at in an international organization, a Swedish international organization, as a country director. But besides my work in the NGO sector, which I have worked now for about 23 years, I also have other things that I do. And part of what I do, I am a speaker, I am an author, and I am also a coach. And my subject areas of coaching is just women and money. I love talking and speaking around issues of women and money. First, I always tell my husband, and I always joke to my husband that me, I'm Bontao, you know, because I grew up in Karatina town. My parents were business people. Both of them were doing business. You know, they were in the SME sector, more or less. And I grew up as like an only child, because there's a big gap between me, the sister I follow, and the sister who follows me. So I grew up as a child who was basically filanga free. You know, I was just a free soul. Free spirit, free soul. And because my parents were not there, I mean, they were, you know, all over the place doing business, I would be left to do things by my own. I would be left to, you know, go to the hotel, eat food, and no wonder today I don't even like cooking, because I grew up not knowing how to cook or not seeing my mother cooking. But then we went to the village. My parents got broke, went back to the village, and unfortunately I lost my mother at the age of 13. But thereafter, of course, you know, growing up like any normal child in the village, a bit of challenges here and there, you know, lack of school fees. Once in a while, you don't have school fees. Like I remember in high school, I would definitely have missed out on school fees. But I still managed to continue. And there, after high school, I went to the University of Nairobi, where I pursued my first degree in anthropology. I should say at this juncture that when I was in high school as a Form 2 student, I met my husband. You know, so we started, you know, writing letters to each other like people do. And one thing led to the other, and we found ourselves in the same university. I remember he would write to me letters and tell me, please study hard. I am going to book for you Stella Winja. Stella Winja is one of the hostels in the University of Nairobi. So, voila. I joined the University of Nairobi, and my first year, I stayed at the Stella Winja Annex. So it was like, you know, prophecy come true. So of course, me and my husband continued. My boyfriend then, who is my husband today, we continued, you know, dating. I went to their home. He came to my home, and voila! When I was a third year student, I got my firstborn. So when we got our firstborn, of course, it was really difficult, because I remember my mother-in-law asking me that I take the child home so that then I can continue with the studies. But I always believed that, I mean, I should take responsibility for my actions. So I told my mother, no, we're not going to have the child come with you. We're going to struggle through this whole life, and we finish it. So yeah, Form 3, I mean, not Form 3, third year, I get my baby. My husband then had just finished. I mean, so I remember when I was in labor, that is when he was doing his last exam, you know. So, you know, so he came to see me in hospital after he had done his final exam in fourth year. So we started life in Kangemi. We hired a small little room of 800 bob, and we would use help. Those days we used to call it chacha. So we would use help to panga. I used to be very organized. We had a blue box. So we would put 17,000 is what I would get. Remember, he's out of school. So 17,000 is what I would get from the help. And we would panga it in that box until it atoshare, like, you know, the 3 months before the next help loan comes around. So that's how we were able to bring up our baby. Of course, with a lot of support from my mother-in-law. I really respect her. So we went through, of course, with a lot of hustling, with a lot of challenges, and you know, fortunately, I was able to complete my university. And by the time I was completing university, the baby by then was about, is it 1 year or thereabout? And then hustling. So what do? I remember my husband telling me, Sasa, nitakuwekea biashara. He of course doesn't have anything. He's rangarangaing in the towns in the city, looking for, I don't know, insurance, maras, what, you know, these things that people do after they finish they finish campus. So eventually we agreed, he said, nitakuwekea biashara. So I said, yeah, which one? So we agreed tufanye biashara ya maziwa. So we had a milk bar. We actually had no money. I remember we went, borrowed 1,000 bob, and we started off the business of selling milk. Eventually, he even acquired a good name called Freshie, because he would wake up very early in the morning, go get the milk. But the tragedy of our time at that time was that because we had gone to university, we never quite settled in the business to grow the business. We were always looking for the job, So that's how we ended up. Yes, we were selling milk. In fact, we started our milk business with 2 liters, and we grew to selling about 100 liters per day. But we were still not settled, because what does the school system tell us here? So many vijana, mutapata kazi mzuri sana. So we're waiting for the kazi mzuri sana, So my husband stayed in the business of selling milk, and I, doing many things, mara research, mara, doing all types of things that, new graduates do. I was then lucky to find a job, to get into formal employment. My first job, I got employed by Amref, and I was sent to Lokichogio. So I went off to Lokichogio. Our baby by then was 3 years. So my husband was left with the baby, and off I went to Lokichogio. I mean, we needed to do life. So somehow we had to agree that, okay, whoever gets the job, then let's do it. So I went, and for 5 years I was in the region of Turkana. I was working in Amref for the first 3 years of my career, and then I joined Lutheran World Federation to work with the refugees for another 2 years. So I basically spent 5 years out of home pursuing career, and then I was lucky to then find a job back home. And then when I came back home, I joined ActionAid to do work around women and governance and all the things that, all these politicians, some of the politicians, the women politicians, some of them, we got to know each other during that season when I was working at ActionAid, because I was leading a program that was supporting them to get to parliament, to get elected into political office. But so that's how I sort of developed. Then from ActionAid, I decided that I went to another organization where I wasn't happy. So I decided, mimi sitaki hii kazi, wacha ni resign. So I resigned after 4 months, and then I became a consultant. After becoming a consultant, I worked as a consultant. Nikasota hapo, msoto ikanirudisha kazini, So I looked for a job again, and I got a job as a CEO of the East Africa Association of Grantmakers, where we're doing work around philanthropy. And then finally, I got into now the current organization where I work in, and I joined my current organization in 2011, and that's how I've been. And in the course of my 11 years of service where I am, I would say that this was the height of my career in terms of, as a country director, I occupy a reasonably good position in the NGO sector, and having grown through the NGO sector, up to where I am now. So I would say that I am a successful career person in the NGO sector. But then what then happened in the course of my career, when we are employed, there's always this question that bugs you: what if? And because I work in the NGO sector, obviously we get contracts which are either 1 year, 2 years. Sometimes you have donors that are supporting you. Sometimes you don't have the funding. So it's a bit wavy in terms of, sometimes there's money, sometimes there's no money. So I kept, at the back of my mind, I kept telling myself, I need to be able to ask, what else can I do? If I didn't have a job today, what would happen? And so in the process of exploring that, I got involved in biasharas. Well, let me tell you, the one they say, let me tell you, Maina. I went into businesses that I didn't understand. I have done very many types of businesses. I have done bakery, I have done welding, I have done, what is it called? Gemstone trade. I have done gold mining. I have done forex. I have done online work, with young people. I actually have, had a station where I used to have some rentals that I had constructed. So during COVID, after COVID, during COVID, when tenants were not paying, I converted it into a different types of business where I had young people bought computers and put young people there so that they can do their online work. It's just that thing of trying out different businesses. But in the process of trying out all those businesses, I made significant mistakes. I made terrible money mistakes. In one of the things that I did, which was a forex business, where I teamed up with some fellow who said he knows how to do business, and how who said he knows how to do this forex thing. I didn't know that he was a con, so I ended up being conned. I ended up losing money, but not just me. I also had invited other people to come and invest in the company, and they lost 11 million in a period of 3 months. Now that experience took me down very, very significantly, because at that time I was not only was I was a leader in church. I was the chair of the Catholic Women Association in my parish. I was the vice chair of the church. So I was a leader in church. So going through this experience and the business collapsing and being branded a thief at that point, so I had no face. I basically lost face. In this neighborhood, I lost face. In the church, I lost face. At work, I lost face. I actually went through a series of disciplinary committees, at that time. In fact, hata nikaandikwa kwa gazeti. It was really a difficult moment for me. The only thing that was really the saving grace for me was my family, because I have a very wonderful family. As I've told you, my husband is my childhood friend. I am blessed with 3 daughters and 2 grandchildren. So we sort of really kept close. And I think there was a woman who was saying the other day that when everything else is gone, the family is really something that you must hold solid. So for me, that's also the message that I preach, that the family remains very, very strong. I am sure you're enjoying this story. I want to encourage you to stay around, but we'll take a short break and we'll be back. I'll see you then after the break. Wonderful. I know you're still there. Welcome back. Let's keep going. So I was talking about, my failures with money and how I ended up losing a lot of money. I actually lost about 15 million in a season of 5 years because of trying very many businesses that were not working. And I came out of that situation. When I finally came out of that situation, I remember I keep telling people, when I celebrated my 47th birthday, on the day I celebrated my 47th birthday, I sat down in my house on a blue seat. It's my blue seat. I don't, maybe that's why I love blue. But on my blue seat, I sat there to do my evening meditation at 10:30 p.m. I woke up from that seat at 7 a.m. in the morning. I was feeling broken and I was feeling broke. Broke because I had no money. I was basically like just one paycheck away from sliding back to some space you wouldn't want to be. And yet, it's very interesting because I was earning reasonably good money. As an executive, I was earning good money. But then I was broke because I was in debt. I had taken debt to finance all these businesses. And I was broken because of all the judgment, all the anger and everything that was going on around me. So when I sat there, I call it my Damascus moment. Because when I sat there, I asked myself, how did I get here? What happened? What really happened? And I was clear that there are certain things that needed to change. And one of the things that needed to change was the way I work with money. And that is how I discovered my purpose. Because, eventually I was able to actually write my book, The Unbeatable Spirit. Because I said, there are too many professional women and many women who go through stuff. But they sort of slide and they're not able to, they stay stuck. They're not able to get out of it. So I said, I want to be that person who will write the experience of what I went through and reinvent myself. So I was able to actually reinvent myself. After that, I became a coach. I went back to school to study coaching. I did a coaching course. I became a coach. I know that God has blessed me with a mouth, so I started also, speaking about money. So eventually, I even registered a company called the Academy of Women and Money. As you can see, this thing, I call it Women and Money. So I write a lot about money issues. If you go to my Facebook page, on a daily basis, you will see that I am writing stuff about money. And it's just ordinary things that, people are grappling with when it comes to money. So that's how I discovered my purpose, from having fallen, from having made mistakes with money, and then going through a process that then helps me to have a second discovery. And it occurred to me that the reason why I am here, and the reason why I had to go through that painful experience, was so that I can help others, rescue and get to have these conversations about money, because we are not having conversations about money. And the reason why I say this is because in my early years of career, when I got my first job in 1999, within 18 months we were able to have our home. You've been here, so this home, we got it, we were able to build it within 18 months of me working. And it's not like I was earning a lot of money. My take home was 26,000 at that time. My husband his take home was 4,800. So we had a combined income basically of about 30,800. And with that, we were able to actually put the resources together and do something. So my early years of career, I was organized. Then I don't know where the rain beat me. I basically went into things I call in my money education, I tell people shiny objects. So I fell into shiny objects. I wanted to get, I was ambitious. I was keeping thinking, why should I live where I live? Maybe I should go and, be in a better place, all those things. And we are all ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. But then in the process of being ambitious, sometimes we fall, like I did. But in the process of the fall, I decided I am not staying fallen. I have to arise, and I have to keep going, and I have to get others to keep going. So today, I basically say that my purpose is to help women take charge of their financial future. That's what I breathe. That's what I occupy myself doing. Yes, I work, and I am very excited with the work that I do. But on my free time, whether it is evenings or during the weekends, I will engage myself in doing the things that are connected to purpose. I would say that one of the highlights is discovering what I am. Is discovering the thing that I am doing today. Discovering that is so important and it's so useful, because a lot of people go through life without discovering what they're here to do. And it becomes tragic. And that's why you have very many people who, they retire from work, they just come and go down because they didn't quite discover what they're meant to do, or even when they were working, they didn't quite get things that could engage them. So that for me is a key highlight. The fact that I have the Academy of Women and Money that is running. Yes, it is new, and yes, there are certain things that I am doing. I am creating online courses because I am not necessarily able to do the things that I could do, because right now I am still engaged at work. But I am using the power of social media, the power of the internet. I mean, if you go to my website, the lucygithaiga.com, I have a course that I have mounted there. This book, every time I tell people I have a book and I tell them to get it in a bookshop, they are like, they sort of give up. And Kenyans don't like reading. So what I have done is to make it easier for them. So and when you tell them to do Amazon, they don't want to do Amazon. Oh, kadi yangu itaenda hapana. So what I have done is within the mtandao, I have put in the book so that somebody can actually just read within there. And many other things that I continue to do in terms of helping people to appreciate what they need to do. So I'm happy with what I am doing. I am also happy with the fact that it is helping very many people. What I say, even the things that I write every day, it is helping very many people, because I use examples of everyday life and people resonate with those things. So that's one of the, I know I have been successful in career, and I know I have worked in the NGO sector, and I could mention many things that we have done in the NGO sector that were really, great, and which I contributed. As a matter of fact, one of the other things that I'm currently doing, even within the program that we are running, is we've developed a program for young people. So we are going to universities, and we are helping universities to save and to learn entrepreneurship. Why? Because when I recall my background, that I left university, got a business, but my mind was not settled in business. We want to be able to help people. Today we don't have a lot of jobs. So university students come out, they can't find a job, they get frustrated, they get into crime, they get into drugs. So one of the things that I have said is important for me. And in fact, I tell my colleagues, this is my legacy project. When I leave the NGO work, I want to look back and be remembered for this, to be able to actually support a process that helps our young people to change their mindset about saving, about investing, and about entrepreneurship. I would say that a few things I have learned. One is I have learned the importance of a coach. It's so important for someone to have a coach. And for someone, as you grow in your career, as you grow in your business, to actually find who do I need to speak to, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a coach. It's very important because you get to learn. The other thing is keep reinventing yourself. Don't just stay comfortable where you are. Keep reinventing yourself and discovering who you are, and discovering and learning, adding knowledge. And asking yourself, what is it that I am here to do? Because everybody comes with their own blueprint. What is your blueprint? And how do you discover that blueprint so that you can do the thing that God placed you here to do? For young women, I tell them that it is good to be in career and it is good to grow in career, but please take care of your money. Don't just make the money, make the money. I have what I call the 4 M's of money. Make the money, manage the money, multiply the money, and measure the money. That's a gospel that I preach almost on a daily basis, and I really would hope that Kenyans can heed to the conversation about money. Let's have the conversation about money more often, and let's take action out of the conversations that we are having about money. So I'll continue to do this. It's something that I have a commitment, a lifelong commitment. Even when I am 90 and in my rocking chair, you ask me about money, I will tell you about money at that point. So I am so grateful for going through that experience, and for allowing myself not to break out of that experience, but to arise and to keep encouraging others. If you want to reach out to me, I am available on Facebook. Facebook is my thing. I am on Facebook. Soon I'll also be on YouTube. But currently you'll find me on Facebook, Lucy Githaiga. I have a Facebook page also that goes by the same name, Lucy Githaiga. In my page I have about over 7,000 followers actually. And on my wall I have over 2,600 followers. So people are getting interested in what I am doing. But I also have a website, lucygithaiga.com. That is where I have my online course. That is where I have my book and many other things that will be coming up. In fact, I have the plans to do a challenge, manage and multiply your money challenge during the week of December 12th. I'll invite people so that we can go through that challenge and learn a few things and see how we can continue to improve ourselves about money.